So, lesson number 5, last lesson in this unit. We're going to look at negative exponents. Okay? So let's look at this. 10 cubed is 1,000. 10 squared is 100. 10 to the power of 1 is 10. So as we go down here, we're dividing by 10, or we are subtracting 1 from the exponent. The exponents go 3, 2, 1, 0. 10 to the 0 is 1. And if you divide by 10, you get that. Now, 10 to the negative 1. We're dividing by 10. So if I divide 1 by 10, I get 1/10. Does that make sense? And we're taking 1 away from the exponent. We go from 1 to 0. Take 1 away from 0, you get negative 1. Okay? So if you see a negative exponent, it means you have a fraction. Okay? If I take 1 away from this exponent, I get negative 2. What do you think 10 to the negative 2 means? Not 2 over 10. There you go. It means 1 over 10 squared. If you have a negative exponent, like 10 to the negative 2, and you want to get rid of the negative exponent, you put it into a fraction. The other way, and we're going to look at this later on, is you essentially flip it. Because is 10 to the negative 3 over 1 the same as 10 to the negative 3? What happens when you divide by 1? Does it change anything? No. So I can write everything as dividing by 1. And if I have a negative exponent, okay, so 10 to the negative 3 means 1 over 10 to the positive 3, which is 1 over 1,000. Okay. So what does 3 to the negative 2 mean? 10. 1 over 3 squared, which is 1 over 9. What's 3 to the negative 3? 1 over 3 cubed. 3 cubed is 27, so it's 1 over 27. A to the negative 2. What is that with a positive exponent? How do I make the exponent positive? One over a squared. If you want to make the exponent positive, flip it. What's a cubed? Or a negative 3, sorry. Okay. Is that okay? If you have a negative exponent, flip it. Okay? Flip it. So, we're not doing this, so don't worry about that. I don't like how they give you the answer here, but whatever, we'll deal with this. So, if you have a negative exponent in the denominator, in the bottom of a fraction, if I want to make it positive, you flip it up to the top. Okay? So you just flip it up to the top, and that gives us 4 cubed. All right? So if I had 2 over x to the negative 2, and I said you cannot have negative exponents, how do I make that exponent positive? Only flip the thing that has the negative exponent. So this becomes 2x squared. Okay? If there's a negative exponent in the bottom, flip it up to the top, the exponent becomes positive. Okay? Yeah, so if I had 1 over x negative 2, you could write this, right? But that doesn't do anything. Or x squared over 1, same thing. Okay? If there's a negative exponent, flip it up. That's essentially what these two rules say. Okay? A to the negative n is 1 over a to the n, and 1 over a to the negative n is a to the n. Basically, if you see a negative exponent and it's in the numerator, put it down, it becomes positive. If it's in the denominator, like this, move it up, it becomes positive. All right? If you just put it to the opposite of where it is, it will become positive. So let's look at these. Simplify, express with positive exponents. Okay. 4 to the 5th times 4 to the negative 3. We are multiplying. The bases are the same. What do you do with the exponents? Add them. What's 5 plus negative 3? 2. So it's 4 squared. What's 4 squared? 16. All right. B, 3 squared times 3 to the negative 5. Bases are the same, 3. What do we do with the exponents? You add them, right? What's 2 plus negative 5? Negative 3. So I get 3 to the negative 3. We're not allowed to have negative exponents. So how do I make that exponent positive? So what does it become? And then what's 3 cubed? What about C? We have a negative exponent in the denominator. We don't want negative exponents. How do I get rid of that? To the, so it just becomes 2 to the 5th. What's 2 to the 5th? 32. You look, when I say flip, you could write 2 to the 5th over 1, but that's pointless, right? So just move it to the top. All right, D. There's a couple different ways to do D. 6 to the negative 7 over 6 to the negative 5. So you can if you want. Okay, so we can do it that way if you want. So there's one way to do it where you can flip them both. So if I want this 6 to the negative 5 to be positive, you put it up top, right? And if I want the negative 7 to be positive, you put it in the denominator. So I could just rewrite it like that. And then use our exponent laws. We're dividing, therefore we are subtracting. What's 5 minus 7? Negative 2. So it's 6 to the negative 2. How do I make that negative 2 positive? You flip it. So what does it become? 1 over 6 to the 2. Which would be 1 over 36. I'm out of room here. There's another way to do it. I'll do it up here in a different. You could just subtract the exponents right away. So what's negative? Here, I'll just write that. -7 minus -5. What's that? -2, right? So I would get 6 to the -2. And then you flip that to make it positive. 1 over 6 squared. It doesn't matter to me how you do it. It's up to you. I would tend to do it this way. Just deal with it and then flip stuff at the end if you need to. 2 cubed times -1. So again, a couple ways to do this. You could do what's inside the brackets first. What's 2 cubed? 8. How do I make that positive? 1 over 8. All right, I know these are tricky with the negatives, okay? I just want to point something out here. This one. Why is this not true? Why does 2p to the -3 not equal 1 over 2p cubed? We both sort of talked at the same time. You're saying, you're saying what? You mean going from here to there? You'd flip it up and it would become positive. You can do that. Like you could do this. You could have this, and I could flip it up. If I flip it up, it just becomes negative. So you're sort of pretty close. Like a fraction. That is exactly it. So because this -3 is only on the p, all right, it's the same as writing this. That. Okay? The 2 does not have the negative exponent. Only what has the negative exponent moves down. Okay? So this should actually be 2 over p cubed. Okay? Only things that have the negative exponent will move down. So let me just make one up here. 3 x to the -2, y to the -1, z cubed. If I asked you to write that with no negative exponents, which variables or numbers would flip down? X and y, because they have the negative exponents, okay? So anything that doesn't have a negative, you just leave it up top. So this would be 3z cubed over x squared y to the 1, okay? Only things that have negatives move down, or if they're negative on the bottom, move up. Does that make sense? I know this is tricky. There's negatives all over the place. number 4, please. Just number 4. All right. So now we're going to use these negative things combined with our exponent laws. All right? I know. Everybody's excited. So here we go. Simplify everything. We don't want negative exponents. So we'll deal with the negative exponent thing at the end. That usually is the easiest, okay? A negative 4 times A negative 3. So we're adding, or sorry, we're multiplying. So we do what to the exponents? You add the exponents. So I'm going to write it out. It's A, and what that means is we're adding the exponents like that. So I'm going to write out as many steps as I can just to give you, if you can do it in your head, that's fine. Negative 4 plus negative 3 is negative 7. So I get A to the negative 7. Now I need to get rid of the negative exponent. So how do I do that? Okay, so what's the answer? There you go. Is that okay? All right, second one. 6x squared divided by 2x to the 7. Deal with the numbers first. 6, 2. 6 divided by 2 is? X2 divided by x7. What do you do when you're dividing? Subtract. So that means x2 minus 7, which is going to be x to the power of negative 5. I need to get rid of the negative exponent. You only move what has a negative exponent. So does the 3 move? So it's 3 over x to the 5th. Okay. So we're dividing here. Y6 over y negative 5. What do I do with the exponents? Subtract, right? Yeah. Yep. I'll do it that way if you want, after if you want. Okay, I'll show you both ways. So we can divide them. So that means so it's going to be y to the 6 minus negative 5. And what number's in front of the y? It's like a 1, right? So it's like a 1/2 there. What's 6 minus negative 5? What's 11? Whoever said that, thank you. Because 2 negatives make it, so it's 1/2 y to the 11. So the 1/2. Okay. Now there is another way to do it, which some people might like better. If you get rid of the negative first, so this negative here, if I want to make that positive, I can move it up to the top, right? So I could think of it as y6 times y5 over 2. The 2 doesn't move because it doesn't have a negative exponent. What do I do with the 6 and the 5 because they're being multiplied now? Add them. So it's y to the 11 over 2, which is the same as that. So you can do it that way if you like. If that makes more sense to you, do it that way. All right. Let's save this one. Gonna do E first. Okay. Okay, let's get rid of the negatives first. Okay. So how do I get rid of the negatives? How do I make this positive exponents? What do I do with them? You flip them, right? So 8b cubed over 4a5. Everybody agree with that? All right. Now, what's 8 divided by 4? 2. So you have a choice here. You could write 2, the b cubed stays up top, and the a to the 5th stays in the bottom. And that's your answer. Or you could write this 2 times b cubed over a to the 5. I mean the exact same thing, they're just written slightly differently. All right. D. How do you think you would attack D? There's a lot of negatives here. So, okay, you can do that. Is that what you want to do? Let's do it that way. We'll do it 2 different ways. So this -3 goes into everything, right? So that means I'm going to have -2 to -3 and x to the -3. So you're going to flip them. Does everybody agree with that? So I'm going to get that. Everybody good with that? So what's -2 cubed? So it'll be -8, and x cubed is just x cubed. Okay? Totally fine way to do it. There's another way that some people may like. If I want to make that exponent negative because it's to everything in the bracket, I can just write it this. Put the whole thing on there because it's all in brackets. Okay? And then that 3 goes to both things. And then if you do that, you get that. Yeah, you're just switching the order that you're doing stuff in. It's whatever works for you. Go with that. All right, 5p to the -2, 5q to the 4. So, what do you want to do? Flip what? So you want to move this whole thing down below? If you move something down below out of a fraction like this and there's nothing left up top, put a 1. Okay, so it becomes so we get that. Everybody agree with that? Okay. Now what do I do? Yeah, you got to deal with this exponent here because it goes to both of these. So 5 squared is 25. Anybody know what 5 times 25 is? 125. And that's your answer. Is that okay? I know this is tricky. Um, you'll have one question, just one. I haven't made it yet. Most of it's going to be what we did at the beginning of class, like that review. And then you have one of these questions and one of less than 4 questions. But I'll outline it before the end of class, okay? All I want you to do is number 10. Yeah. Number 10, please. We still have one last thing to do, but I want to save that till the end. All right, the bottom of the page here. Now, it wasn't just good enough to have negatives, and it wasn't just good enough to have fractions. We're going to put negative exponents on fractions. I know, it's awesome. Everybody just calm down. Don't get too excited. Okay, so it's actually not that bad. If you have, you've already been doing it technically. If you have a fraction, 2/3, 2 to the negative power, that is the same as this. 2 to the negative 4 over 3 to the negative 4. Because it's that rule, the second from the bottom, x over y to the n is x to the n over y to the n. Does everybody agree with that? 37, where we left off. You got to buy a book, man. Oh my gosh. Okay. If I gave you this, how do I make those positive exponents? What do I do? Flip them. So I'd move the 3 up and the 2 down, right? So I'd get 3 to the 4 over 2 to the 4. Does everybody agree with that? Okay. Now, that is the same as, so I can just rewrite it like this. I'm doing all this to show you the shortcut, okay? So I can just go 3 over 2 all to the 4. Does everybody agree with that? So what's the shortcut to go from here to there in one step? Thank you. Flip the fraction and make the exponent positive. So if I gave you 4 over 5 to the negative 10, you would tell me that equals, boom, 5 over 4 to the positive 10. Okay, so is everybody good with that? If you have a fraction with a negative exponent, flip it, and then the exponent becomes positive. All right, so now they don't give us any good examples to do, so we're going to go to question number 12 in the assignment. All right, peoples. Here we go. We have 2 examples. We got okay. We got to go here. Let's do C. What's the value of C? There you go. 5 over 8 to the positive 1. Easy, right? Okay. Let's look at E down here. All right. Now you have options. Okay, let's whoa it down. If you have a negative exponent on an ugly looking fraction, I would flip the whole fraction first and make that exponent positive. Okay? So if I flip this, nothing inside changes except its position. Okay, but the exponents, nothing will change. So this becomes 6y to the 8 over negative 12 x to the negative 3 to the power of 1, right? All I did was change the exponent on the outside, right? And I flipped the fraction on the inside. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, then you just deal with it as normal. Oh, sorry. Because I'm flipping it due to that. I'm not flipping it because of sorry. Thank you. I see why that was confusing. Sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. Nothing changes, okay? Because you're flipping due to the other one. And then you can simplify it all, right? Because of the power of one, who cares about that, right? Yeah, you're going to end up flipping it back. So 6 over negative 12. Let's deal with that. What goes into both of those? What's a bigger number that goes into both of them? 6. Thank you. 6 goes into 6 once. How many times does 6 go into 12? Twice, right? So negative 2, because it's negative. How do I make this y to the negative 8 positive? Oh, it goes in the bottom. How do I make the x negative 3 positive? So you could write it that way, or if you don't like the 1 there, you could just write. You could do that. Yes. Yes. But you have to be careful when you're doing that one. That's not positive 12, right? Just be careful on that. But yes. All right. Question 213.